Hi there, Giovanni here at Frap Tools. We are here for some live patching now, and let's check what we will come up with over the next 20 minutes or so. Okay, so the techniques we came up today on our website are the force loop number 1, the USTA polyrhythm number 1, which you used quite a lot, and the inverted volt per octave, which I think it's a new entry in these videos. So I would like to start with the USTA polyrhythm number 1 because it's the one that needs two sequences more or less playing equal, and so I needed to come up with a sequence. And I think that in this case, since we will use the inverted volt per octave technique, we will need those sequences to be quite spread out. They need to span, I think, 2 or maybe even 3 octaves. So I'm gonna try and see what I can throw in the sequencer. I might speed up the video in this moment. Okay, so this is the sequence I came up with. It's the same over 2 tracks. I'm currently using no articulation at all. We have track 1 here and track 2 here. I'm not needing this one for now. So what I want to do is to change the clock to unit ratio of one of those 2 tracks, which can be, for example, our track 1, which can play slower, like this. And I'd like to transpose my track 2 up 1 octave. Okay, I want to add a little bit of reverb. Okay, I want to try with a different ratio, like, let's see, 3 to 1. Okay, so that's the polyrhythm. I think that I would like to emphasize a bit the second track by using some gates. So I'm gonna patch my gate output of track 2 to the FALISTRI's slew limiter. I'm not using an envelope because we might need it very soon. So I'm just patching some gates through a slew limiter, and it will work as a fake envelope. Gonna give longer gates going to use my gate output. Let's see, this one of track A to ping the brainstorm like this. Okay, so now we need to squeeze in two more techniques. One is easy, and we will save that for later on. And the other one is a bit tougher, which is the force loop number 1. So this technique uses two falistri. We need, well, not necessarily two, but at least one falistri. And this input here, or this one. What they do is they act when falistri is set to this position or this one, according to whichever generator you're using. It forces it to the loop state, like this. It's like manually going from this or this to this. And we use a gate high signal, and whenever the gate is high, falistri will start looping. So in the technique, we used an LFO patched to this one here, and I'm gonna create it from scratch and see if something comes to my mind. So I'm going to set, I'm gonna pause the sequence. Let's focus on this drone sound. I can set, for example, the yellow generator to loop, and I want it to be a fairly slow LFO like this, which I can patch to the brainstorm. For example, to modulate the source parameter. Okay. And I'm going to use this one of these outputs here, perhaps the end of rise, to trigger the force loop input on the green one. So you can see that whenever this reaches the end of rise signal, the green oscillator will start, the green generator will start oscillating, and since this is set to LFO as well, I'm going to patch it to another parameter of the brainstorm just to demonstrate what it does. See? Now I need to squeeze this technique, which is a very rhythmically complex technique. I need to squeeze it into an already rhythmic patch, like this one. So my idea is to use a different approach this time. So instead of using an LFO, I am keeping the same concept, but instead I will use, since track 1 is controlling our bass sound, I'm going to use some gates. For example, I'm going to set a gate high signal on my CVB track, on my gate B track, which is free at the moment. I'm going to use it to force loop my falistri. Not bad. So that I can have some notes or some group of notes that can have this additional modulation going on. I kind of like it, honestly. Let's use a different waveform. And for example, I can just emphasize part of a note like this. I honestly like it better just to have, you know, some emphasis here and there. Let's see how it sounds with the other voice. Nice, it almost matches. Okay, now we have another important patch to fit, which is the inverted volt per octave. I'm going to use it I'm going to start with track 1, so I'm going to patch my volt per octave signal. Instead of going straight to the brain, so I'm going to pass through the 333 and then back to my brain, so oscillator. Make sure that the attenuator, that the switches are up, otherwise we would have quarter tones. Okay. Now, if I want to add some distortion to the lower notes, like the first one, I might end up with overly sharp high notes. And for this reason, I want to patch my volt per octave signal to the 321, and then let's remove the offset. Okay, and I want to invert it. So now a high voltage corresponds to a high pitch corresponds to a low voltage over here, and vice versa. And I'm gonna use it to control the wavefolder signal, which has an attenuator, and so I cannot invert the signal straight here. And you can see that and hear that. You can hear that the high notes now are very thin compared to the low one. Instead of using this one as a destination for my LFO, I'm gonna route it to the timbre modulation bus, so I can modulate multiple parameters at the same time, like this. I like it. I think that I'm going to... No, I think that it can work. So now to sum up, we have the polyrhythmic technique that we achieved by playing the same sequence over two different USTA tracks. One has a ratio of 1:1 and the other has a ratio of 3:1, but both are working with the same clock. I just transposed track 1 to have more low end, a little bit, not too much. They're playing more or less in the same register because they have very spread out melodies. And the reason is that now with track 1 we can take advantage of the inverted volt per octaves to smooth the higher notes and give more grit to the lower ones. And finally we have an LFO that kicks in every now and then, like this, thanks to FALISTRI's forced loop input. If you want to replicate this patch based on the 3 random techniques that I used earlier, feel free to do so and use the Frap Ideas hashtag. I hope you had fun and I will see you next time.